All right, Samco's fam, what is going on? I recorded the video you're about to see last night. This is how we're going to export CSV from a Firebase database in Flutter. All right, so I was looking online, couldn't really find a lot of good documentation on this, so I figured I'd make a video about it. If you're like me, you just want to get to the meat of the content, or like me when I'm not recording videos, because when I record them, I put a bunch of extra junk in there that's not really necessary. But I've added thumbnails in the description, not thumbnails, tags in the video where you can go and just go ahead and skip to the part where we actually export the CSV. But if you want to see the whole entire setup, you can also do that as well. I coded that out in the first part of the video, and this is probably a part of more videos to follow, in which we're going to be discussing, how we build out this app in Flutter, cross-platform with Android and web predominantly, just because I don't have Xcode to do it in iOS. But that all being said, hope you enjoy the video. Drop a like, comment, subscribe, do all that great stuff, and yeah, let's go ahead and hit that intro video and let's get into it. All right, we are in now. Excuse the mess. I'm not like, it's late. I don't feel like actually putting on. I'll do this in my muscle tee and my nasty looking hairband, but it's okay. So the point of this video, as I already explained, we're going to be doing a CSV export in Flutter using the CSV package that I'm going to put in the description link. This is kind of a funny package, a little difficult to use. Documentation isn't that great, and because Flutter is always evolving and changing, hopefully this will provide something that's a little bit more up to date than some of the stuff I've already found on YouTube at this time. My clock is showing it as 11. I have class at 8:30 tomorrow. I'm going to put this thing together real quick, and hopefully we can explain something. As you can see, I've already done a lot of the code. I commented it all out. I'm going to re-go through it. No, that's not how you say that. I'm going to retype it. That way I can kind of explain piece by piece what I'm doing rather than just highlight different portions of the code. This just helps me think a little bit better. All right, so first thing we need to do, let's declare some variables. All right, we're going to have a Firebase off because obviously we're working with a Firebase instance. So we're going to initialize it. Then we're going to do like a little shortcut thing to access it. I like to do this just because I get tired of typing out the same thing over and over. So Firebase. You may not even need all this. This is just kind of something I do with all of these .dart files. .stance. Yes, that's what I need. .instance. All right, cool. Let's see. Now, for the package, the CSV package, we are going to need to have a list of lists. All right, of some kind. I'm going to go ahead and declare that up here. There's a list of strings. All right, this is what the package parses out. The list. So I'm going to go ahead and do this, and eventually what's going to happen is the stuff that's in my Firebase Firestore database. I'm going to parse it to a list of lists using a stream, and then I'm going to use a built-in function on the CSV package to take that list of strings, put it in a CSV format, and then we're going to see how we can download that. In this case, I'm going to download it to the web, but I think I'll probably also show you how to do it on Android. Now it should be something similar to that. So anyway, let's make a stateful widget. We can use the thing here. We're going to call this the item screen export. Now, full disclosure, this is going to work with the rest of my app. If you just follow this tutorial specifically, you're probably going to have to modify it to work with something you already have, right? I've got some other stuff built out in other pages that's going to work really great with this. So that is where we're at. Okay, cool. So first thing let's do, we do for yes, let's before we even worry about our build widget, let's do some things right here. Okay, let's go and make a stream type query snapshot. Yeah, that's how you say that. Stream of type query snapshot. All right, we'll call it a stream query. That's fine. And it's going to be DB, which we already declared at the top, which is going to be a Firebase Firestore.instance. All right, DB dot. Remember how this a collection of what do I have it named as? I think in my database is stores. Now I'm going to go into a document in the stores collection that is going to be the store of my current store that I have selected. So get current store ID. That's what I'm talking about. I already have some of this stuff built out, but the principle remains the same when we get to that point of how to actually do the CSV export. And I may timestamp that if you want to skip all this junk. I may not, because of what I remember to do. I'm going to get these snapshots, put them together, right? So this is going to go into my database, into my stores collection, into the document that had whatever store I currently have selected in my application. It's going to go into the items collection. It's going to take a snapshot of every single document in the items collection. That's what this does right here. Okay. So once we've got that stream query, we need to do an init state, initialize state. All right, because obviously we need to have a header for this list that we made up here. We need to have a header for this so that they can actually know what the information is when we do export it to the CSV. I'm going to put this in an at override. Oh yeah, okay, cool. Hit state, okay, and that's going to be a super dot hit state. Yep. And we're going to take that item list that we already created right up here, and let's go ahead and put some values in it. This is going to be like the first row. The first row in our CSV file is going to be what this is going to have. All right. So what do we say? It was a list of a list. We got a list of string type string. All right. And what is in that list? Now this really depends on how you got your data structured in Firebase Firestore. I'm just going to pull a couple different values that I have in my database stored in each item. So I know each item is going to have its own ID. I know this each going to have its own name. Each one's going to have its own price. Right, and let's say each one's going to have its own quantity number. Yeah. Cool. There's probably more stuff I could put there, but I'm not going to worry about that right now. All right, cool. So we've got that. Now let's go ahead and start building out what we need to do in our actual widget. All right. So let's just do this basic stuff. App bar. Make an app bar. That's not how I do that. App bar. Type app bar. Yeah. All right. We're gonna give it a title, and we're gonna call it. We call it this text. Let's say items to be exported. Okay. And then after items to be exported, we're gonna center that title. Just like center titles. What I don't like is the spell, obviously. I'm stuck at that right now. Maybe it's because how late it is. All right, so app bar, and then what? Our body is going to be, here's where things get interesting. Our body is going to have to be a, what is it going to have to be? Got a lot of errors. I need to start doing some stuff. Yeah, let's do a stream builder. Okay, a stream builder that's going to be based on that query snapshot, all right, that we established earlier, stream query. Okay, so what is the stream going to be? The stream is going to be stream query, pulled from up top, and then we just go through the boilerplate, a builder, context, a snapshot. Yeah. And of course, if hate this thing where they do that auto. Right. Okay. If the snapshot doesn't have data, right, then we're gonna obviously return a little loading symbol. In the middle while it grabs the data, because obviously, you know, this is an async thing. It's going to take a minute for it to populate all the data from the database. All right. We'll return the circular progress indicator. I'm not doing the best job at I don't know I did that formatting, but hopefully you can get the gist of what's going on here. Else, what are we going to do? So we got the data. We're going to return a container. Because when you're developing in Flutter, you love containers. You can do like literally anything with a container, almost. And that should get rid of that. Might be causing null to be returned. Label at bar isn't used. What is this? I am having a major brain fart at the moment. I'm not sure. How's my build not going to be completed normally? Have you noticed that? What? Anyway, another thing we're going to do, we're just going to keep on working and hopefully that goes away. I don't know why right now that's not working. Okay, so we're going to do a child of type column. And in that column, we're going to stick children, right? Widget. It'll be a child of widgets. Yeah. Children of type. I'm not sure if that's necessary. I've just seen a lot of people do that, so I'm expected to find any. You know, if they expected to find all these semicolons, why don't they just add them? I'm missing something simple here. Why can't you just add a semicolon? Is that crazy? You know what I forgot? I forgot a scaffold. I just realized that the app bar and a body require a scaffold. Why don't I just do that? I can return a scaffold. This is what I'm talking about. It's too late for this, man. Heck, no. Return a scaffold, right? And then end of here. Yep. Then we need to this thing not with those braces, with these braces. Oh yeah. Coding rocks. Absolutely rocks. Love to this. There we go. Voila. Oh, it's kind of again. Oh, I cannot. Cool beans. Anyway, let's continue. There's not a zoom function here. Zoom. Yeah. Things you learn, man. Things you learn. Let's do it one more time. Okay, cool. A little bit easier on my eyes and probably on yours too. All right, so we got the stream builder column with the widget in it. And what are we going to put in here? What should we put in here? An expanded. In that expanded, I want to put a child of list view. All right, why are we doing a list view? Well, how are we supposed to populate what's in the database into a list that we already created earlier? We're going to use a list view builder. Okay. There may be an easier way to do this. I haven't found it, so I'm not going to talk about that. Okay. So we know that we have an item count. All right, and that's going to be the data in the thing. Because of not there's null safety, make sure to put that exclamation there to prove there is data there. All the docs in the snapshot, the length is going to be in that. That's going to be our item count, and then that's going to be followed by item builder. Right. The other thing is complaining about Okay, in the item builder, obviously context, you know the drill, or boilerplate that I'm going to type out like a complete and total noob because I don't know macros. Okay, what are we going to do? Document snapshot, our friend. This is how we actually pull out the fields from the documents that we pull from the snapshot. The documents that we pulled from the query snapshot. We use a document snapshot to get the fields out of that. I do know what I'm talking about. Where, all right. So that's going to be snapshot.data docs at the index. I'm going to clutch with that auto finish. Okay. What are we going to do? Well, let's add the item to the item list. How we're going to do that? Simple. Item list dot add string. All right, of what? Well, we already did this earlier where we actually put in the item here. Here we're going to pull in from this doc that we created, this document snapshot. We're going to pull them directly from the database. So that's going to be doc.get the different fields. This depends on, once again, what have you named your fields out of your Firebase Firestore database. So I know I have a field name ID. I have a field name. I'll show this in a what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, make sure you line it up. The order ID name. Line it up with the order that you put your header here so you don't get confused. That's a stupid error to make that I will never admit to making, but very possible that it did happen to me originally. So I got a price. Now my price in my database is actually a number, so I'm gonna make it toString since this is a string, a list of strings. Yeah, I'm gonna do the same with my quantity. That's gonna be doc.get my field quantity dot toString. Yeah, that's it. And as always, you can make sure to, like, if you want to do printout statements, just check yourself in the console while you work. That's always a good idea. In fact, I'm going to do that. Actually, yeah, why not? Why not? It's not. Follow along with it. So we're going to say print contents item list R, and a new line, let's actually print item list. And this will also help you probably see it being built as we build it. You can see it actually being built in the console, which is kind of cool. And I'll add empty print line. That sweet. All right, so now what do we do? Well, you want the user to be able to confirm everything that they're going to be exporting, or at least I did when I did this. So I wanted to be able to click the button, and it's going to pull up. Okay, this is all the stuff we're going to export, and then they see that, they're okay with that, and then they actually initiate the export. They actually cause it to happen. They execute the export. I guess you can. Dang, I'm a wordsmith. Okay. So how am I going to do that? Well, yeah, why not? All right, you don't really have to know this. This is a package I use called Slidable that gives me like this slide. Like I can slide on a different on a card basically on Flutter, and it can do some things. I'm gonna just cheat and just copy this in really quick because this video would be extremely long if I did not. And that's not what you're here for. You just want the information. You probably already, lived through a couple times. Oh, lots of things happened. Holy crap. All right. I'm going to delete all of this. I don't need. There we go. Widget and slidable. So just, I guess if you want to walk through it really quick, what happened here. All right. I have this. This is a package you can get on pub.dev. Creates this slidable, and then you can add this action pane. All right, tell it how much of the ratio to take up. So I'd put a gesture detector on it. I have this tapped index here. All right, let me go ahead and put that in. Yeah, just for continuity's sake. I think I have to initialize. Yeah, awesome. So basically what happens is if the user taps on this card, what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the color of the border to green, just so they know that one's been selected. I think that's the only reason I did that. I added a wrap widget. I did some measuring on this container. You know, I mean, this is kind of self-explanatory. I rounded the corners, added some margins and padding. I also pulled from that same document. I pulled the name and the quantity just for something to show the user. I probably just left it as quantity. But there is no like on tap command. Nothing really happens other than a note I made for myself. Anyway, that is what it is. So where are we at? Yeah, we're done with slidable. Right, so back here. Nice. All right, here's the fun stuff. Let's add a floating action button. Whoa. So much going on in these screens. Floating action button. And what we're going to do here. Why do we have this issue? Could it possibly I have it in here that needs to be? Nope. Something else. This and then. No, it's not. No, it's this. Yes. I'm probably gonna be too lazy to actually cut this out this video, so feel free to skip ahead until you find what like you actually. Here. Oh, wait, yep, boom. Floating action button. Why? Maybe because it's in the list builder? Maybe? Me. I'm definitely cutting this out right here. Fixed. All right, boom. I'm back, man, and I got it fixed. All right, whatever I had issues. And the good Lord for editing, am I right? Then you don't even have to worry about things like this. You just get them fixed, right? Which is what I did. All right, so where are we at? Yes. Floating action button. Here. Floating action button. Okay, and that's going to be. I actually put a floating action button down. Action button. Okay, and what are we going to put in this button? This is going to be kind of our download button. This is what the user can use. This is what they click on to actually initiate the action of the CSV thing. So what's a good icon to use? I think the one called file download should be sufficient. And then you do your on press method. Right, you kind of know how this goes. We're gonna have a method. Let's call it generate CSV. It's not created, so naturally it's gonna throw an error, but we'll create it in a second. And then I'm going to show a toast message just so the user actually knows, hey, you know, we've exported your stuff. Just go check your downloads folder. Once again, I'm using a package for this called Flutter Toast, just because I like it better than like the standard Toast messaging system. I don't know what you really call that. Okay, so once we click this button, I also want to pop this entire page, because we only come to this page when we want to create a list to send to this into a CSV export. All right, so what I'm talking about is, oh yeah, I forgot in my debugging, forgot to add back that tabbed index again. So here's a dealio. All right, anyway, here's the thing. So when we add items to the item list, we're calling a bunch of read methods. We're reading from the database. We're reading to get this ID. We're reading to get this name. We're reading to get this price. We're reading to get all these documents, right, in a snapshot. We're reading everything in this query. We're pulling it all. So if we want to avoid having a million read statements, most people be like, oh, just have an item list page and then just have an option to generate CSV. Well, that means every single time you open the item page, you're going to have to build out this list to populate this item list right here. And that's just a ton of unnecessary reads, especially if you're not going to generate a CSV every single time you go to a store and check your items. Now, this is a case-by-case basis. This is just for my app. I realized, okay, I don't want every single time the user checks on what items are present in a store, that it does all these reads and writes to generate a list for them to export a CSV. I want them to solely do that, or I want the program to solely perform those read operations when I know for certain they're going to do a CSV export. Thus, I put this all on its own separate page. Okay. That was a lot of explanation for basically nothing, but I'm pretty sure you get the gist. All right. So anyway, on to the generate CSV method. All right. So what is that going to look like? Well, let's just create a simple method. All right. It's going to be async, obviously, because it's going to take a minute to get this data. And I always like to do this thing when I'm making methods, just if for debugging purposes, I want to make sure that everything's working right. So when I hit this method, my console is going to print out generate CSV was clicked. All right, just so I know everything's working. That saves me time later on. All right, so here's where that method, that pub.dev package comes in. The package, the CSV package. All right, so you need to have that installed. You need to run Flutter pub to get, the standard operation for adding imports. All right, I've already done that up top. So that's going to be equal to, what is it? I think it's list to CSV. Yeah, list to CSV converter dot convert. All right, so this is going to take that list of strings, put into a CSV format. What are we converting? We're converting the item list. I think over here. Yeah, list of list dynamics. So ours is going to be strings. But the key here is that the rows are lists of lists. All right, so we got this item list. Now also, when I'm naming the file, so when I download it to the user, I want them to be able to delineate it from a different CSV export download. So a quick and simple way to do that is just to go ahead and add some date time. I can just write this into the file name, just so it makes each file name unique. What is the way I want to format this? I'm probably going to start with a month. Then I'm going to go to the day and then maybe the year. And just if I have a bunch of exports really quick, I'll also do the hours, the minutes, and the second, like that. I'm going to format the current time as that. Wait, okay. So let's figure out how to do this on web first, because obviously when I show you all this in a minute, I'm going to be running it in the web because I want to be able to show it all on the same screen here. So how are we going to do this? Well, I always like to start. I have this built-in function called k is web. What that does is it basically is it right here. If it's this is only true if the application is compiled to run on the web, which in this case, it was. I'm going to check that because this only applies to downloading from the web. All right, once again, going back to what I was saying earlier, I'm going to do a little print just to make sure that the program recognizes that it's registering as a web. This is not necessary. This is just something I like to do. Nice. Okay, cool. And then what do I do from here? Well, first thing we need to do, first actually important thing, we need to encode the CSV data as something that the web can pull down as a download. Really weird to say. I'm not really sure if that's the right way to say it, but you get the point in a minute. All right, so I'm going to call it bytes. All this is going to be is a UTF-8 encode. Full disclosure, I may or may not have used a little bit of Stack Overflow to help me out here. So don't be like, hit me with a bunch of questions in the chat. Some of this stuff I know, some of it I'm shaky with. But I do know it works, which is worth something, right? Amen. Amen. All right. So, final blob. Yeah. Just hear me out. Calling this thing a blob. All right. HTML dot blob. All right, and it's going to take in the bytes, which is that UTF-8 encoded CSV list. All right, now keep in mind, if you type this in straight into your editor, it'll throw an error, right? HTML is something I named way up here. All right, you see here, import universal HTML, which is also a package you need to get probably. HTML Dart as HTML. All right, so down here, error here. What is the operator isn't defined for the? Did I leave something out? I may have left something out. Yeah, I left out this thing right here. Boop. There we go. And then I need to have another one of those down here. Yes. Cool. Debugging on the fly. That's what I like to see. Okay. So once you name that import as HTML, then you can do this right here. I'm gonna do this blob as bytes. The next, yeah. All right, so we use that HTML package there. After that, we're gonna create a downloadable object. We're gonna do this as a URL. All right, Chrome likes to use these things. Web likes to use HTML dot. Once again, using that same package, URL dot create. URL equals. I'm gonna call it dot create object URL from blob, and then we're gonna put the blob in there. Okay. Now we have to create an anchor to actually download the file. So we created a downloadable object. That's what this did. This created a downloadable object. Now we're going to create an anchor that we can use to download that file. So I want to say final anchor is equal to HTML dot document dot create element. All right, we're going to call it A, and then we're going to say as HTML anchor element, and dot href equals URL that we created earlier, right? Oh, HTML dot anchor element, my bad. Equal that URL, right, that we've already got. I'm pointing at the screen like you can see that. Object right here. URL dot style dot display equals none. Okay. Dot display style dot display equals none, and then dot download and then we're gonna have to download. What is the file name? Well, I'm just gonna call it item export And then I'm going to put in that formatted date just to give it something unique, right? To give it something that it can stay with. So that's going to be format date. Yeah, cool. And then make sure, of course, and with that .csv. I do believe that back here. We've got the anchor. Now we add this CSV anchor to the body of the HTML script. So I mean, you know, this kind of is like almost like JavaScript kind of stuff. And then of course, make sure you null safety, add that exclamation point, null.children, and then .add, and then we're going to add our anchor to that. Okay. Now, how do we actually download it? Now that we've created the downloadable object as a URL, right? We created an anchor to download the file. We have added that CSV anchor to the body. Now, what do we do to actually download? Okay, easy. This is the easy part. Anchor.click. All you got to do. Boom. And then, if you want, you can also revoke the object just to be proper about everything. All right. So that's going to be ah.url, and then revoke object URL of URL. Okay. And then we can, I think that's it. Boom. So that should allow us to download a CSV file of whatever's in the Firestore database from the web. All right. Let's go ahead while I'm here before we actually wrap this up. Let me go ahead and show you how to do it on Android as well. Just because I think this is also, you know, it's easy. You can save yourself a lot of time. You just, you know, do it from here. All right, so I'm going to do an else if. Just to stick with my, that way if we're on Android, right, I don't want it to try to execute that web code. Now, I'm not actually going to show like the output result of this, but I've tested it, so I know that it works. So what I want to do is I'm going to establish a general download directory. With Flutter, they were doing something like with scope storage and Android 11 and all this kind of mess. So basically, you have trouble if you use the popular package that gives you download paths. It's going to basically put the stuff in a folder that the user can't access. And I'm really like oversimplifying that, partially because I don't really understand what's going on. All I know is that I want the user to be able to access stuff from the general downloads directory. This may actually cause an issue with some Google Play permissions if you're trying to get stuff posted on their store. But that's a bridge I'm going to tackle when I come to it. For testing purposes, just to make sure I can actually put the CSV file on an Android device, I use that general download directory that you can access from any file application, Google Files, you know, what is that other one that everyone uses? ES file system storage. Anyway, I digress. Okay, so I'm going to establish the general download directory. And that's going to be a directory, and is that storage emulated 0 capital D download. Okay. And then what am I going to do? All I'm going to have to do is create a final file. Right. And I'm going to wait. Oh, wait. Remember, I'm still in an async method. That file. And what are we going to do? We're going to have the general download directory path that we just established. And we're going to take that path. And we are going, oh yeah, I forgot to do the, bear with me a minute. We're going to take that path. All right. And then we're going to append to the end of it what we want to name this item. So what did I call it earlier? I think it was like item export formatted date.csv. Right. And then I got to do actually to create the file with the .create on the end of it. Nice. Okay. So that works. And then last but not least, we need to await the file, not in caps lock, that's not going to work for you. Write as string. Yes, and then the CSV data. Okay, so we created a file at this location. We called it item export with the formatted date to keep it unique. And then we wrote to that file the CSV data that we obtained from the list of strings way up here, right here. All right. And just like that, that will work for the Android. Wait. All right. So let's see this little puppy in action here. See if we can make this joker work. Okay. So let me get on my Zen mode here. And let's close this. Actually, I need to like zoom way out. Reset the zoom. All right. And let's open up the app in Chrome. I'll probably cut this part of the video out too because this takes forever. All right, coolio. So I've got my emulator running here, over here on this side. Let me take this thing out of dark mode. All right, cool. So I've got this store here. So you see over here in my my database, I've got this stores collection. All right, with a set of stores in here. Let's find Burger King. Burger King. That's going to be this store. All right, the items in Burger King, they're organized by ID. Here I've selected Burger King. I'm going to go to the items. I say I got a Big Mac, a smoked rib, and a Baconator. Those aren't actually at Burger King, just FYI. That's just testing purposes. All right, so yeah, Big Mac, McRib, Baconator here, and then this document does not exist. Why the frick is it in here? Anyway, I digress. All right, so this is our menu. Okay, I'm gonna go here. I'm gonna go to export current item. I'm gonna pull up a page. Items be exported. Now this is the page we're actually working on. Right. This is what we've been coding in. All right. So what have I done here? My download thing. Oh, you can't actually see my. Oop. Yeah. Okay. So you can see my download button down. Everything's set. All right. What happened here? Well, if we go in here, this again. Whoa. You can see that what happened was we clicked generate CSV. That's what happened when we clicked stores export on the original page. And I'll have another video at some point explaining how I actually did all that. We saw that it was a web device. Okay. And then something here. Anyway, contents of item list. All right. Our item ID, name, price, and quantity. Remember, we actually hard coded that one in there. And then it saw the Big Mac. All right. And then it went to the next item and it added the smoked McRib. And then it went to the next item and it added the Baconator. All right. So this is a list of lists. All right. You see these two brackets here. It's a list of string. Okay. So it did add each one in just like it was supposed to. All right. So we go here. All right. I'm back. Cool. Come up here, down here. All right. So we got the items to be exported. Click here, what happens? Oh, snap, it actually worked. It popped the screen off. It took me back to my main item screen. But down here at the bottom, I see I now have the CSV file. Open it up. All right. I go here. Awesome. All right, and we see it was named properly. February the 7th, 2022 at 11:54 p.m. 7 seconds. Dang. Coming up quick. All right. And you see already we have this. This is what we hard coded in: ID, name, price, quantity. It pulled in the ID of each item. It pulled in the name, pulled in the price, pulled in the quantity. And you can just scale this up. And basically, this is a really cool trick to use if you're trying to pull data out of Firestore into a format that you can easily send to other people. Also, you can easily reverse engineer this and use it to import into Firestore from a CSV file if you have a ton of data. It's scalable, really nice. I'll probably do a video at some point where I show how to do the import using a CSV file. Once, of course, I'll figure that out myself. I haven't gotten that far, but that is on the docket to do. So, with that being said, I think that is all. I know this is kind of a long video, but hopefully it was informative. Hopefully you got some out of it. If you like the content, obviously drop that like, subscribe. I mean, come on, man. I'm sitting up here slaving away at 11:55 p.m. Like, just drop a subscribe button. I don't put out crap content usually. If I do, just let me know. And yeah, let me know. Like, I'm not gonna change it, but it makes you feel better. Do a dislike or something. It doesn't matter. Subscribe. That's the big deal here. Support what I'm doing here. I'm trying to put out this content because I'm not finding it myself on YouTube. And then I'm having to dig through Stack Overflow for hours on end to do stupid, simple things. And maybe one day I'll be so smart I won't have to. But until then, I'm going to keep making videos like this so I can remind myself, hey, this is how you export CSV from Firestore database. So yeah, until next time, guys, y'all keep it real, and I'll catch you on the flip.